Welcome back to the Safe, Secure 360 podcast. There is safety in numbers. Today, we're continuing our series in current events that are safety and security related. The private security industry in the United States of America in 2023 spent $46 billion to secure private interests. How does that work? Do you have the right security company? Do you need one? We'll talk about that today in our podcast. Thanks for joining us. This is the Safe, Secure 360 podcast. There is safety in numbers.
The information provided in our podcasts is for general information uses only and is not intended as legal advice. The views and opinions expressed by the guests are their own. Always consult with a qualified professional before making safety and security decisions. For more information about this topic, check out our website at SAFESECURE360.com. Well, Robert, thank you for sitting down with us today. Why would a company hire security in the first place? What need does this accomplish for a business?
Let me explain the police perspective first. The police are charged with the duty of protecting our citizens and also protecting property. They respond to calls for service. You have a need, they come out and try to help you with it. If they can find an offense that has been committed, they try to affix the identity of the person who may have done it as a suspect, and then they prosecute that person eventually, is how it works. The police role in the United States in contemporary organizations really is not designed for crime prevention strategies and really not designed to filter down to your home or your business or your corporation or your event. Sure, if you have an emergency need and call 911, the police are coming. However, they're not driving around your business around and around or parked in your parking lot wondering, I wonder if the alarm's going to go off today, or I'm wondering if someone's going to rob this business today, because if they are, that's a bad idea because I'm here. The police are generally and globally present in the jurisdictions in which they work. However, their approach is a broad one. They are visually deterrent, they do drive by, but to focus down on your security need that you have or you anticipate having, that is where private security comes in and fills that gap between you and then emergency services, which you may or may not need or receive.
So the police are a general thing that's keeping the city safe, for instance, but a specific business might have even more needs than the city as a whole. So a private security comes in to give the specific needs for that business. What type of services does a security company provide, and how do they know what a business needs?
That's right. Contemporary police today are public service focused. Individuals, corporations, and companies or events are private service focused. Having a company or having a business or having an event that does not service or derive funding from the public makes it a private event. And therefore, if you have security concerns or you're doing some preventative forward thinking about your safety of that event or your business or your corporation or your travel or your home, then private security is the solution that is being used throughout the world to bridge that gap, to give you that ability to be safer and more secure in your environment. Private security is used everywhere. You commonly see them in a hospital, in a strip center, in a business, at a front desk, at a reception area. You see them at construction sites. You see private security in so many places. because they're charged with the responsibility of bridging that gap between civil persons conducting business and an emergency responder who may be needed for some event. So private security is a really important aspect if you have the right company, if you have the right officers, and if there are certain things done, it can be very successful and reduce your risk, reduce your loss, and reduce your reputation impact.
And just to offer the alternative, this episode is called False Sense of Security. The opposite's true. If you have the wrong security company, you can add liability to your company. They can cause problems at the company as well. So I'm curious about exploring what makes the difference between a great security company that's going to protect you and a security company that isn't prepared, that might leave you open and vulnerable to something. What would make the difference in those types of companies?
Let's start with why a client or why a person, corporation, or company feels like they need private security. Has something happened? Has something happened to their business? Has something happened in that area of town? Has something happened in that industry that is a response now that they're trying to give to prevent it from happening in the future? Or is the company, corporation, or person forward thinking and realizing that sociologically destabilization is seen more and more and more, and that person or corporation or school or church wants to get ahead of it and wants to prepare themselves for an event that could occur that may negatively impact them or harm someone. So hiring a private security company is a very good plan under the right circumstances. You have to have clear objectives as to why you, the client, is hiring a security company. You have to understand that allowing that company to enter your business, to work with you as a partner, there need to be clear objectives as to what you want to achieve, or what you want to prevent, or what you want to stop, or what you want to have happen that benefits you, the company, the client. And selecting the right company is critically important. SAFESECURE 360. We are a security consulting group located in the Woodlands, Texas. We assist our multiple clients by reducing their risk, loss, and reputation impact. We also do full security assessments on their facilities, large churches, large private schools in Texas, and we want to help you. Take a look at our website, safesecure360.com.
So there are many options for companies, many options for security companies. You can call around and get prices. And what I hear you saying is that if you know the objectives of specifically what your business's needs are, you could talk to each security company and see if they gel with your objectives and if they can handle it. How would you broach that conversation with the security company? How do you express what you need done? And then how would you know if they're going to be able to manage the need that you have?
Security companies in Texas, where we're from, are licensed by the Texas Department of Public Safety, our state police. And in that license, there are certain requirements for experience, for insurance, and many things that allow you to obtain and retain that license. So the first thing you're looking for if you desire to hire a security organization is, are they licensed currently by the Texas Department of Public Safety? It's simple to know. You can go online and look, or the company can present you with their certificate, which shows that they are, and that's a good step to start with. How long have they been in business? And what do they do? Do they have a website? Does the website have a robust client list of people that they serve or have served? There may not be clients that are published. We publish our client list because they give us permission to do so. But we also have confidential clients that we do not publish, and that's really dependent upon the client and you. But ask yourself, is this security relationship that I'm about to enter into, I think, going to contribute to reducing our risk of injury, danger, theft, loss of our property, and our reputation? Are we seen and viewed in the public sphere as a safe place to work, as a safe place to do business with? Or are we constantly being burglarized? Are we constantly having problems in our parking lots? Are our employees being threatened or harmed? Has something happened that was terrible? And now this is our response. This company that you hire, do they independently background check? Not Google me background, but do they independently background check each one of their officers? And then you have to decide, are you going to want an officer who is armed with a gun or unarmed? It's a big division as to which way you go. There's a third category. They could be armed and in plain clothes under certain circumstances as a personal protection officer. Those are the three types of license in Texas that the DPS allows us to operate in. So when you're deciding between an armed officer or an unarmed officer, there's going to be different prices per hour per officer. The armed officer is going to be more expensive, and the unarmed officer is going to be least expensive or less expensive than the armed officer.
So there's different types of officers, and there's different things they could do. I think the most obvious is that an officer sitting in your lobby is a visual deterrent. It's going to make you at least think twice about whatever you're going to do if you're thinking criminally. I think the idea of reputation damage is a little bit harder to understand. I'm guessing that if your store has a reputation for being dangerous or being stolen from a lot or having fights outside, people are going to shop less, and that's going to affect your business a little bit. Could you tell us more about reputation damage and how that would affect a client?
Yes, the public has choices as to where they go, where they shop, where they eat, where they do their business, where they go to school, where they go to worship. Many choices. If you have a location, a store or a church or a school, and there has been some terrible event that has happened, or multiple events that are happening, and the owner or the person in charge of that organization is less than interested or indifferent in how these things stop and how they encourage an atmosphere of safety, then the public is going to consume that reputation and decide for themselves, do I want that? Do I want that risk and exposure? Or do I want to go somewhere else? So it's critically important in reputation impact damage to know that we have a system in place, we have a policy that drives our approach to security and safety. We're very well aware of customer service, and if you don't do it, someone else will. So we've taken steps to select the right security company, to have the right customer service demeanor, to have the right officer that makes good and sound decisions, to have that presence as a partner, as a security officer, whether it's a school or a church or a retail business or a construction site or whatever the industry may be. Are they a partner? Do they communicate with you? Are you on the same set of objectives? Are the objectives reasonable? Can they be met consistently? And if so, you have a pretty good combination of a partnership. But what happens when something goes wrong? And it can, and it does. Having police officers in a scenario like this providing private security, which is another option, things still go wrong because people have agendas and they have desires to engage in conduct that is criminal in nature, and they've weighed the circumstances and saying, look, I know there's a police officer, I know there's a security officer, but I'm still going to commit that crime. I'm still going to do it. So when that happens, have you taken all the steps necessary to lessen that burden, to address that issue of what if? And if you have, then you're in a good place.
So I hear that when you hire a security company, you're going to establish a policy with the security. First of all, do all security companies help write policy? Is that a common thing? Who would write the policy at the company for the security company to help follow?
Security companies do not typically write policy for an independent client. We do, or at least we contribute to it. We apply our best practice approach to policy development after we review the client's policy, and then we make best practice recommendations about amending or editing or adding to the policy. Technology changes and methods change, and as they do and as they evolve, it is incumbent upon security policy to also develop and change and address something now that we may not have addressed 6 months ago or a year or 5 years ago because the technology wasn't there. And now how do we amend our policy to really be at the front end of this? I think that AI is going to bring a lot of new ways of thinking into how we manage crisis and how we prepare for events that could be dangerous. And I think that it is one tool that we need to really be aware of and fully utilize any advantages that we can for that to help our clients. A security company typically will not make policy. However, they will typically write what are called post orders. A post order is an order that is agreed to by the client and agreed to by the company that the officer and the company and the client follow. It may be descriptive of the date, the time, the location, the shift, the days, the duties that an officer may have while they're there. It may talk about reporting processes and how the report of the daily activities or nightly activities are reported. It may talk about notification of company representatives if something goes wrong or bad. There's different levels of that. So the policy development is a deeper adventure than post orders. So it takes a unique approach to be able to develop policy which makes sense and which serves the client and also follows the law and also follows the rules of DPS and also follows your company's ethical approach to duty.
It would be possible to hire a security company and not have thought all of that out. I'm glad we're hearing all this information. This is great information for a company that's going to hire a security firm, because there are some questions you would probably want to ask the security firm, but if you haven't had one before, how would you know what to ask? So that brings me to you. Let's say you have a security firm and you think that they're doing a good job, but how do you know? How do you interact with them? How do you get a gut feeling for what's actually going on? If you're the business and you're hiring a firm, are there specific questions you could ask to see how it's going? How do you deal with that relationship?
Start the relationship with a thorough review of that company. We talked about background checking their officers. Do they drug test their officers? How frequently? Is it for cause? Is it because an incident happened? Is it random? And how often do they drug test someone? Are those officers AED and CPR certified? That may not be their primary job, but in an event of a cardiac emergency, could they use those skills and that certification to help save someone's life? That's a valid question to ask someone. How long has this person been an officer? Do they typically work nights? Because that's what our need is. Or are we taking someone who typically works days and forcing them by giving them an opportunity to work nights? That's uncomfortable for them. Does that company that you're hiring have a robust policy, many policies, about proper conduct and about demeanor and about their appearance and customer service? Is that approach professional in nature? And if it is, and it's in keeping with the client's needs, you may have a good fit. Remember, you're relying on this security officer to know the law, to know the procedures of the company, to know the policy, to know the post orders, and to follow them when no one's looking. So continuity of satisfactory services begins on the front end. When you look at that company, what's their insurance? What's their Texas workers' comp insurance? Are they in business? And do they provide an outstanding service? And can the references be checked? Those are all things that you should do.
We've talked a lot about technology throughout this. I'm seeing a trend of more and more technology using AI to come up with gun recognition camera software and camera sensors in parking lots and lights and all of these things. Can technology replace the function of a human guard? What's the plus and minus of a technological only approach to security?
I think that using technology by itself is ineffective in many, many different ways. The technology must have some human component to it. Let me give you an example. If you had a turnstile that only let you through if you have a ticket, and then all of a sudden the ticket is trying to be read, but it's inoperable and it won't read the ticket and the turnstile won't open, a person has to come and intervene and fix that or allow that to occur. If a parking lot gate is down or a gate won't open with your mag card, then someone needs to come and be the human part of that to operate correctly. We've seen and we're seeing a lot of retail locations with aerial cameras that are, they have flashing lights on top, red and blue flashing lights to simulate perhaps that they're a police vehicle or to scare someone or alert them, don't burglarize us because we're watching you. And the use of camera technology is really advanced with license plate readers and all different types of facial recognition technology that's coming on. But let's say, for instance, you have a parking lot, a retail location, you're constructing it, or you've had some type of event, and now you're securing it, and you only use the cameras on a light. Well, true enough, they may see an intruder, or they may see an intrusion, they may see a person, they may see a vehicle, they may see some conduct that is unlawful by nature. That's not enough. They're going to have to notify someone, hey, this is a certain location, I'm the camera people, we have an intruder on site. Describe the intruder. The 911 operator is going to ask them, what do they look like? Well, they have a hoodie on, and they have a COVID face mask on, and they have sunglasses on, and they have gloves on. I can't tell what their race is. I can't tell what sex they are. I can't tell how tall they are. The license plate on the vehicle they came in is obstructed, or it's marked out, or there's a piece of duct tape over it. So I know the type of vehicle, but I don't know the license plate number. I need someone out here to intervene in this, take the information I'm giving you, and act upon it. But without the human aspect of a security officer, a police officer, an on-duty police officer coming to respond to that scene, You have some videotape now that may or may not lead you to a suspect identification. So technology is good if the policy's good, if it's reliable, and if there's a transitional plan from observation of intrusion or event to solution.
And security really is a solution providing industry. There's a problem that there's loss, risk, and reputation damage going on to businesses. And security's solution is we can help minimize that and help prepare you when something does happen to help lighten that load. And what I've heard you say so far is that this policy, the ever-changing policy, you call it a living document sometimes, but this is a policy that thinks ahead towards what might happen and creates some preparation and responses for those things. If you have a policy in place and you have a security company you can communicate with and update the post orders to match the updating of the policy, and you have a police presence that you could call upon, maybe ahead of time get to know the police in your area, then you have a pretty good chance of being able to handle the burden of something going wrong. Are there any other safety precautions or any other ways of thinking that would help a business that's looking to hire security?
Crime prevention is a partnership with the police, private security, the independent company, all together. Working together is the best chance for a predictable and positive outcome. Having a strong policy about your security and about your safety in a living document that can be changed and edited and revised and updated as situations change, as construction changes. You built a new wing or you built a new structure and the old policy doesn't talk about that structure. Or you have a new policy in place where you're having your employees park in a certain area because it's safer, but the old policy doesn't talk about that. It's time for review, and it's time to put that in place. When you do have a criminal event occur, it is important to have a concise, detailed, written report, whether it is an offense report with the police that something has happened, or if it is an incident report or a significant incident report that happens with the security officer that's there. Reports are the official memory of the event. 6 months from the event, when you're reanalyzing this or you're in some type of litigation, that report is going to be discoverable and it's going to be valuable because people will forget. People will not remember things, times, places, descriptions, actions, results. They won't. So having that concise, accurate written report, or a series of them in a supplement perhaps, along with your policy development going along with you and involving your security people in that progressive development is the right way to do it.
Well, thank you for helping us understand what this process actually looks like. I imagine this can be really helpful information to a lot of companies that need these security services or that are considering security services. Sometimes just hearing what's available helps you understand it more. Is there anything more to say about this issue? Is there anything else we should know about security or the false sense of security?
I think it's important that you have a robust selection process for your security provider, that you interview them, that it's not just a phone call or a fill out a form on a website. I think it's important that you understand their background and their ability to serve you. I think you should stay away from budget-only driven decisions, because sometimes if you hire a company for an hourly officer rate that is very low, the delivery of competent services of a professional level may also be very low. So I think that hiring a company with a great reputation, with great clients, with a great background, perhaps in law enforcement, and blending it with private security is the best way to go, and we do that.
Well, thank you, Robert, for talking to us today. And if you're looking for a security company and would like some help, please reach out to us. We're happy to help advise you and help you understand what the process is you're getting into. Thank you always for watching. We're hoping that this makes your life feel more safe and secure and that you're enjoying these shows. We do it for you guys, so thank you all for tuning in. If you want more information about us or want to see our clients or see our services and what we do, please go to SAFESECURE360.com and check out our website. Thank you. This is the SAFESECURE 360 podcast. There is safety in numbers.